Welcome to the Sales Influence Podcast, where we talk about finding the why in how people buy. I'm your host, Victor Antonio. Thank you for joining me. Here in Georgia, it's a beautiful sunny day. I am in a good mood, so I hope you are too, because today I want to talk about how do we guide our customers? How do we provide a guiding experience? Now, listen to this phrase. Customers want to be guided, but they don't want to be told. Let me say that again. Customers want to be guided, but they don't want to be told what to do or what to buy. So what is our job in selling? Our job in selling is to look at the choices in front of the customer and guide them, funnel them to a decision-making point where they can actually make a buying decision. But now, I've talked about this in my past podcasts. When you give people too many choices, the paralysis by analysis kicks in. In other words, they get buyer's regret. Buyer's regret means they'd rather not choose anything for fear of being wrong and have buyer's regret. That differs from buyer's remorse. Buyer's remorse, you just hate the fact that you actually bought something. Buyer's regret is that when you're presented with options and you're overwhelmed in terms of how to make a buying decision, you rather not make a decision and regret it than make a decision and fully regret it. Now, if you heard my past podcast, you know I've talked about this Stanford University experiment. Let me go through it again, and then I'm going to really talk about the guided experience. In that experiment, they had, jams, jellies, right? They had two tables set up, one with 24 flavors, one with 6 flavors. Which one sold more? Obviously, the one with 6 flavors. In other words, only 3% of the people who approached the 24 flavor table bought versus 30% who approached the 6 flavor stand, right, or table. Why? Because in the 24 flavor scenario, there were just too many options, and the customer brains just locked up. Their brains just locked up. So what is our job? Is to funnel everything down from 24 all the way down to 6, maybe even down to 3, and maybe down to 2. In other words, funneling makes sense. Now, let me give you an example, and then hopefully this will tie into how you can improve your selling. Have you ever been to a hotel? And let's say you go downstairs to the concierge, right? The concierge, you ask the concierge, look, I'm looking to go out to dinner tonight. Can you recommend a place? Right? We've all been in that situation. If you've traveled enough, you've been in that situation like, where would be a good place to eat? Now, let's say the concierge can respond one of 3 ways. The first one is, I know the ideal place for you. And let's say you're looking for a good steak. And he'll say, you know what? I know the ideal place for you. Calls a taxi and just shoves you in the car. Option 1. Option 2, they say, well, look, here are 6 places you could go for a great steak. Let me know if you have any questions. That's option 2. Now, option 3 is the concierge will say, well, tell me what's the occasion. Is this business? Is this personal? Is it family? What are you looking for? And then you give the concierge your information, and he says or she says, based on what you've just said, here are 2 places I would recommend. And the first one would be my first recommendation. Which option would you take? How would you like to be guided? The first one was, let me repeat them again. 1, I know a perfect place for you here. Just get in the taxi, go there. That's option 1. Option number 2, here's 6 options. Let me know what you think if you have any questions. Number 3 is you ask questions, what's the occasion, and then you provide 2 options, and then you narrow it down to your favorite. Which one do you think you would go for? Well, if you're like most people, you would go for the 3rd option. You would be more open to that option. Option number 1, where they just tell you to get in the car and you know the ideal place, you had no choice. You had 0 choice. Option number 2, you had 6 places, too many choices. Option number 3, they asked you questions, qualified what you were looking for, and then provided you with 2 options and let you choose from those 2. Now, think about this. Sometimes when we're talking to our customers, we sound like one of these 3 scenarios. For example, in sales, you're talking to the customer tells you a couple of things, and you're saying, Mr. Customer, I know what you want. Here it is, right? That's almost like saying, get in the taxi, I know what you want. And sometimes you're in the presentation and you say, Mr. Customer, here are 6 products we offer. Which one do you think your company can use? Yes, I've seen that presentation. Here are 6 products we offer, and what do you think you need right now? And the customer's like, I don't know what I need right now. But the third option, which is how true salespeople sell, is to say, tell me what you're looking for, tell me what your pain points are, and then make a recommendation. Narrow it down to 1, 2, or 3, maybe 3, narrow it down to 2, and then help them decide or guide them to which one you want them to choose. This is a much better selling experience. So what you want to do, going back to the original statement, customers don't want to be told, but you can guide them. So you can guide a customer, just don't tell them what to do. But in guiding your customer to the right choice, you have to narrow those choices down based on what they tell you they need. Now, I know this sounds obvious, but it's amazing how many times in a sales presentation, I don't see a salesperson funneling me, guiding me towards 2 or maybe 3 options. So I want you to ask yourself, when you're presenting to a customer, do you ask the key qualifying questions? Do you validate or verify what they're looking for? And then, do you purposely guide them towards 2 or 3 or maybe even 1 solution? And again, keeping in mind that customers want to be guided, they just don't want to be told what to do. So, next time you're presenting, remember, guide them, don't tell them. And that is it for this Sales Influence podcast. Don't forget to leave me some feedback on iTunes, Stitcher, or YouTube. You know the deal. I always appreciate hearing your feedback. Also, check out my online sales training platform, the Sales Velocity Academy. If you haven't signed up, why? We got 40 plus courses, 400 plus videos. I'm adding one every month. This is great content to help you sell more. So if you're serious about increasing your sales velocity, go to salesvelocityacademy.com. That's salesvelocityacademy.com. Lastly, I want to thank you for listening. This is Victor Antonio, always reminding you, selling ain't hard when you know how. Take care. Hi, I'm Victor Antonio. I'm an author, sales trainer, and keynote speaker. I'm often asked, what makes a great speaker? Is it someone who delivers real content that the audience can use? Is it someone who engages the audience so they're part of the learning experience? Or is it someone who can motivate an audience to push them beyond their comfort zone and discover new abilities? The answer is yes. But the most important thing to remember is that I'm not there to look good. I'm there to make my client look good. Simply put, it's never about me, and it's always about them.